What do you think makes people to come back to the application? The fact that they can see the number of likes or the fact that the picture is liked?
The fact that
So this pod, I was talking to Nonye about books, basically. Nonye, I'll let you introduce yourself. But first of all, Nonye is an eye doctor. So if she's entering your eye, she can also treat it for you. Anyhow, you like.
we're in UX space, so I'm not going to introduce myself as an optometrist. So
Okay,
I
okay, okay.
am Chinayo Mildred. Yes, I'm Chinayo Mildred, and I'm a UX designer at Discover Design Studio. Okay, so I think what else is there to know about me? I love reading books, even though by the time you see some kind of shake here and there, I say books chill first. Chill a bit, okay? Actually, since this year, I don't think I've actually read any book since this year.
Maths.
It's been
Damn.
it's been out now.
By the way, I'm coming. I'll show you one book that I've been reading. So this is not an advert, but then if you can see,
Mhm. Okay,
yes,
Ikigai.
Ikigai.
Uh,
Yes, have you read? Have you heard about Ikigai? I don't know why it's not showing.
I can see it, Ikigai.
Exactly, exactly. So I've been reading
Mhm.
this book for like 1 month because I'm very slow. So many things are happening that is making me take 1 month. So I've been reading for 1 month, and at least this is one book that I have been reading throughout this year.
What's the book about?
Good. So now I like talking about it. Just like ego is the enemy. So this book, Ikigai, is according to what's here, is the Japanese secret to long and happy life. So basically, there's so many things to learn from this book because it talks about like balancing work, life, productivity, finding that like juice within all of them that fits you well. Right. So let me check my notes. So I took down notes from on this book. This is one extra from the book, right? So we are what we repeatedly do. That's like I think this is from the first chapter also. Aristotle said, "Well, what we repeatedly do, excellence. This is not an act, but a habit." And talking to Japanese people from this book, right? They like these people are like they do menial things. They wake up, they go to the farm, they farm wheat, they come back. Like they keep doing that till they die. So that's what helps them like live like 100 years of their life. Not the farming the passive, but like the habits of doing the same tasks, not mundane tasks, but like doing it a way that you enjoy it. Like our grandparents now, like they wake up. If your grandma or your grandpa has like a shop or something that they do, that would keep them active longer than if they just sit down,
Yeah,
look at the sun, go back, eat oje, go back, eat oje. Hey, like
that
they
was
wake up,
very
they exactly stuff like that, right? This is another one. Say it's much more important to have a compass pointing to a concrete object than to have a map. So now this is now a story. See now I'm just you about this book. When it's your turn to gist me, you so
all right, it's
okay.
okay.
Okay. So for people listening, I'm giving the extra. We're talking about Ikigai. So I'll basically just use like desired experiences to like talk about it even more. But this is just the juice, right? So now say it's very much important to have a compass pointing to a concrete objective, and to have a map. Now Joey
Yeah.
Ito is the director of the MIT lab, right? And he encourages to use principle of compass over maps as a tool to navigate our world of uncertainty, right? And like I was right when I was reading this, it was more as designers, as a designer that I am, it's more like better to have a compass than a map. So the map now is we know what design is. We know there's UX, there's UI. We know there's like UX, UI, there's UX writing, there's everything, right? So that's the map. That's the whole map. We know the whole text space. We know how it works.
Yeah.
That's the whole map. But then like to have a compass also, I want to build or I want to build the easiest product or the easiest way for people to pay money online for a certain product. And
Yeah.
I'm going to do that by like improving user experience for users within this age group for this specific niche of products. Now that's a
Yeah.
direct compass that like directs you to
Yeah.
where you're going. It's not like say I just want to be a UX designer. Now that's broad. That's you looking at the overall map. So that's the
Mhm.
extra that like I took from there. Reading on, it says how to survive our fastest future. And Jeff, who writes In an increasingly unpredictable world, moving ever more quickly, a detailed map may lead you deep into the woods at an unnecessarily high cost. A good compass, though, will always take you where you need to go. It doesn't mean that you would start your journey without any idea where you're going, but like
Yeah.
it means that you're understanding the paths, right, to your goal. You finish faster, you finish more efficiently than you would if you had
Yes.
to like struggle and plan the different routes or different map, that kind of just.
You know,
So
one thing that, okay, I'm going to bring back this same thing you just said in one of the books I read. Okay, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut till I get to that book. And then we're going to come back to this thing you just read about the compass and
okay.
the map. Okay, so let me just hold it. Let me hold my thoughts for now.
Are you
Okay,
sure you want to
till
hold your thoughts?
I'm going to hold my thoughts because if I spill the beans now, by the time we get there.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
just going to
Compass,
and
okay.
maps.
Compass, maps, yeah. Uh,
We'll do that
thoughts.
when I talk about
I'll write it here
trouble.
so that I'll remind you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. So now, part of the extracts, one last thing was going back to about Einstein. A happy man is too satisfied with the present to dwell in the future. Now, this is a challenge against contentment, right? But it's also a quote that allows, like, at least for me, that allows me to reflect on, am I dwelling in just this present because I'm extremely happy with what's happening, and in considering, like, I'm not considering the future of where I could be. So career wise, now this didn't happen, right? Recently, I think it was just me, being in that space where I I had like I had two jobs and I was excited about it and I was like doing awesome for myself. I was happy. But then I lost, and I'm like, the energy I used to start applying for jobs again was high because I was like, damn, I can't afford this life that I've given myself. If I've lost one job, I need to like do more. So I'm like, I was too happy. Like a happy man is too satisfied with the present to dwell in the future. Like you're not looking forward to where you want. Like I mean, I was satisfied. I was like, yeah, I'll just take things slow. I'll just chill. I'll do one landing page a whole month. I've designed 5 different MVP in the last 2 weeks. 5 different
Good.
MVPs. Two is in development in the last 2 weeks because I like that fact that I've lost my job and I brought my sense back. I'm like, okay, now I know I'm not happy anymore. So I'm looking forward to the future. Yeah,
Yes.
I will talk about the last thing here on my notes, but let's leave this Ikigai book for now.
Okay, what you just said is very important as to career in design. Okay, you get a job and then we begin to get relaxed with where we are because we're happy with maybe the pay, we're happy with the work environment, we're happy with the team and all of that. And then for some reason we may begin to stop learning. Okay, so that urge to learn something new, usually we're always learning something new based on, okay, you want to apply for this job and then you see the job description and then, oh, I don't know design systems, or I need to be perhaps, I need to like up my skills in design systems and all of that.
Yeah.
So you begin to learn all those things. But by the time you get comfortable with that job, and then maybe design systems is not one of the things that you do in that team, forget about learning such things and then not looking towards the future as to, okay, sometime I'm going to be a senior designer. Sometime I want to, even if it's within that same organization, okay, you want to get promoted, you want to move from where you are to the higher place. But many times we get extra relaxed and then forget to learn and forget to build and all of that. And then boom, one day it hits you. You spent 5 position.
I say,
You've spent 4 years in one position, you've spent 5 years in one position, and then your job is being threatened. Because the thing with tech is you need to evolve quickly unless you're still okay. Your organization needs something better because the trend has moved, has shifted.
yeah,
Have you shifted?
yeah,
You
yeah,
begin, you become still, and then you're no longer useful to them. The value is no longer there, and then tomorrow we're crying about layoffs, and if I didn't even blink an eye when they want to lay off. All of that. So
Yeah,
we should just
you're going. There's no two ways. To them, it must make
at
money, and like,
all.
yeah.
Exactly. I'll list out my four top books, okay, that
Okay.
I do not even need to think about before if someone
Okay.
asks me what are my top books. These are the books that will come to my mind. Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. That's one of them. I'll come back to talk about each of them. I just want to list them out. Refactory UI just has to be there. That's like my second best. And then Hooked. Hooked is one of it. Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug, Refactoring UI, Hooked. And then there's this book by Olabanji Ewela, if I got his name correctly, Blood Money in Tech. That one,
Ooh, that book is
I don't
that
know.
good?
Yes, that book it is that good. Okay, probably
Wow.
because I think it was a very needed time in my life. As in my
Oh.
career, it came in
Oh,
very
so
hard peak of time. So it
hey, so now
was,
you're in Canada now. You're making the blood money. Wow. Wow.
we are on our way to Canada. Way to Canada. Okay, and okay, so if I want to talk about these books individually, Don't Make Me Think was one of the books I read very early in my career when I was just starting out and learning UI UX. Don't Make Me Think focuses on user experience, okay? How best can you present your website, your web app, your application in such a way that your users do not have to think for like seconds before they can make an action, okay? So Steve Krug's idea is your users should not think about what to do on your platform. Okay, so your buttons are very concise and very precise, straight to the point, call to actions that say do
Mhm.
this. Okay, every step in your website gives them an informed, it makes them have informed decisions. Okay, so I don't have to come to your website and begin to figure out where is this thing or where is that thing, and all of that.
Yeah.
So Brooks' general idea of don't make me think, in fact, from the title alone, you should, ring a
Yeah.
bell in your. Okay. So every time I sit to do something, I ask myself, would a user have to think for 10 seconds or a minute about this step take? Or in this user flow, would a user have to pause and think or pause and begin to wonder what is supposed to happen? That. So those things inform my decisions when I'm maybe drawing out user flows or mapping out layouts on the maybe website and all of that. So that's a general idea about Don't Make Me Think. If you've not read Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug, please go and read that book.
Okay. Were there any aspects within this book, right, that like you saw that the book's approach to web design or usability that that you disagree with, or you found maybe this makes sense, but like it's something like you should break because it's a little less helpful.
Mm, generally, the book is actually quite, let me not say advanced in, okay, you use advanced in age for human beings. It's okay, so it's like I think the last revised version was, I can't remember when, but we know that trends change.
Yeah.
Okay, users are becoming increasingly impatient with platforms. So some things that we may have talked about then, yes, they are foundations, but they are not the, what's the word now? They're not the standard per se. Okay, it's a foundation, all right? But based on, you put it side by side with the trend, okay, what is currently happening in the UX space now? What are people saying now? 2023 now. What is happening now? Okay, there's AI everywhere. Yes, everybody wants to get this thing quickly. Okay, ASAP. Is your platform doing that? Okay, Steve Krug may have talked about putting out your layouts in this way or that way. It may not be working now, but it's a foundation. Okay, so not necessarily did I disagree with some parts of the book or with all that, but what I would say is a foundation, but it's not the writing on the wall. You just have to do it this
Okay.
exact way. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. So what would you think determines like its limits? Like the trends that we have, right? What help determines the trends? Like for example, things that are trending now. What can you say determines okay the reason why they are trending?
Oh, okay. I would say one of it is research on
Yeah.
user experience, on user interface design, and all of that. So this research brings about trends. Okay, plasmorphism is no more working. Neo-brutalism is now the trend. You get all these. These are things that
Yeah.
come from. These are things that come from places of research. Okay, you're doing research in e-learning. Okay, we have learned one or two things about how e-learning web apps should work. Okay, you put out a blog about it, someone else picks it, learns it, applies it, and then it works, puts out a blog. Trends are, it's just, it's like a, what's the word, like a chain. Okay, it
Yeah.
happens, another person tries it, it works, it happens, person is trying it, and then before you know it, it becomes a full-blown establishment and then
Yeah.
runs
That
for
so many people are now like choking hands inside left and right.
exactly. And then before you know it, based on research, another person comes up and says, oh, this is no longer working, or there's a
Yeah.
better way to approach this idea. And then boom, they jump on it. We like trends. We like to jump on trends. So when it makes it easy for us, okay, ChatGPT is the thing now. We're using it
Yeah,
to
that's my guy. I
brainstorm.
use that guy every day. Like I can't imagine. Oh man, I use that guy every day. Like
But now
um
imagine how it was before ChatGPT. Okay, let's go back to say last year, last 2 years when
ah
it wasn't much of a trend. Okay, you're every day in Google, you're every day in YouTube and all these
I
places. But now,
swear without ChatGPT, I'm inside people. I think that's a very interesting fact because like without ChatGPT, we'll have more human connection and more user interaction. So now, and as you said, looking back to like a year without having access to ChatGPT, I was having more conversation with people. So I could book a call with somebody just to ask them questions. I could reach out to King David and I'll be in his DM. I'm like, let me answer this. How do I do this? I'll reach out to Vicky. I'll reach out to different people. But like with ChatGPT, I'll just go out like, yo man, I want to do this stuff. Help me manage this thing. And he's like, okay, do this way. And I start hacking it. Like I start hacking the prompts. I'm like, okay, do you know? I'll ask, do you know this guy? He says yes. I'm like, okay, ask me questions relating to this guy, or give me. And I'm like hacking this thing to get the answers. I'm like,
like the
damn,
world.
exactly. Oh damn, that's
Then
true, sha.
you're no longer asking people questions and all of it. It
Yeah,
has its pros and cons and all of that, but it's just wisdom to just know where to put a limit to it, such that it doesn't take out, maybe cuts off all your relationships and all of
I
that.
swear.
ChatGPT is actually good, man.
Yeah, is that good? I think it's a feature to look out for. Yeah. So that's just that. You have extras, more extras on that side. Don't make me think that you want to share.
I think that should be that about the general summary about don't make me think. Okay, that's the in point about don't make me think. Don't make your users think.
I think another aspect, at least I'm like just saying based on what you have said is always carrying out research with people will help you know what to do that would make your users think. Like always observing users, like having research like back to back, not one in 4 months. It's like back to back would really help. That's
Yes, it does. I think many organizations now use tracking softwares like Hotjar, Crazy Egg, and they use these things while user interviews still surface. But things like these platforms have made it quite easy to study user behaviors on your platform. Okay, so you see the heat maps and all that, see bounce rates, and then you can quickly begin to work on certain areas of your platform or your website and say, okay, what is making people bounce here? Is it the copy? Is it the button color or the button size? Or the call to action is not precise enough? And
yeah,
generally all those. So these are, like I said, everything stems from research. People have made research and come up with these softwares to help the
yeah,
whole situation
yeah.
you know. So
Yeah, makes sense. Do
it's
you
all
think
research.
do you think that rule of don't make me think applies to every single application or website?
Mm, there are certain aspects of your website you'd want to make your users curious about. Curiosity is also an interesting spice to add to your platform. Okay, you want them to be curious about what happens next. Okay, you usually find things like that in platforms like maybe gaming platforms or quiz platforms and all of that.
Okay.
But simple websites, simple flows, especially when it comes to call to actions, when it comes to things that will make your users do something on your platform. You want to make it as simple and as precise as possible. You want to make the copy easy to understand. Okay, I don't need to check my dictionary before I understand what's going on. As much as possible, less technical jargons, except maybe you're working with high level users. Okay, these users are professionals. Okay, so like maybe you have a platform for people in medical field as medical doctors, and then maybe you begin to use such terms, or you have people in the
Yeah.
NFT, you're building the platform, you know the targets. Okay, but if you're generally building for users and you want as many people as possible to come in, or you've done your research and the demography, the niche, the target, your target users,
Yeah.
you know the
Yeah.
language they speak. I think this will bring me to one, I can't remember what, okay, Design for How People Think. That's the name of that book, where the book talked about the 6 minds, talked about memory, appearance, vision, talked about vision, memory, and a number of them. In fact, I may have to open my phone to get that. But generally,
That's fine.
one thing, language, yes, language is one of the things I wanted to point out. Now, in doing research, you take note of how these potential users speak. Not like when I mean speak is your understanding of certain things that your platform is going to be providing.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a way there's a language that they have. So what can I use as an example now?
There's this video I watched. I think was from one woman. She called it. I'm trying to think also. It was something about I think it was I think it's mindset, as she said. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe a different one. And it was more of like the people who are in your niche, right, would have a separate kind of thinking style. Thinking style, that's it. A separate kind
Okay.
of thinking style than people who are not in your niche. So, if, for example, like you're building an application, like I've been into a lot of educational designs. I've been doing edtech since I started product design. So that's my part. So now, if we're doing research with instructors, right, and we're talking to instructors, instructors have a certain mindset. And funny thing is, instructors in Nigeria have a different thinking style than instructors outside Nigeria. Here's one funny example. So one time we're trying to research kind of questions that they said. So a Nigerian instructor set a question, and the question was which of these this is not the exact, but this is like just like example. Now say which of this Igbo word defines water. So they put umuta, they put miri, they put something else. Then they now put none of the above, and they now put all of the above. Then, and we're like, why would you put none of the above and all of the above? And they were like, if it's none of the above, you select it. If it's all of the above, you select it. Or you select the correct answer. It doesn't matter. That was the Nigerian guy. And then
That's our primary school way of setting up example.
exactly, exactly. That's like exactly how it was in primary school. That I'm in Nigeria and grew up here now, so we understand and so it be. We know the scope already. Now, the
Yeah.
foreign instructor would set all the options to be different. There's no none of the above, there's no all of the above. And we're like, why are these people doing these both things differently? And the question was not like the way they think, and it was very common with the Nigerian instructors, is like the way they think, their thinking style is not like it's bad, it's just niche to them as per, Nigerian instructors, Nigerian teachers, because of their environment. And the thinking style for people outside Europe, outside Nigeria are niche to the way they learn how to be instructors there. So I'm like, that's the word, like thinking style.
They will see that as maybe you're confusing the students by putting none of the above and all of the above.
Yeah.
But for us here, you get expected to be smart enough to know if it is none of the above or all of the above. So, like you said, thinking styles different, the environments too,
Yeah.
concepts are different. So it's usually like that. So if you're going to be designing across board, if your application is supposed to like cater to people from different environments, you'd want to do research across board too. Okay, do research across those areas that you want your platform to reach out to, and then find
Yeah.
out how these people do things, and they try to put a balance so that
Yeah.
everyone can enjoy. Yeah, so that's that about that one. Another book we could look at is Refactoring UI. Refactoring UI, if you want to up my skills, just go and read Refactoring UI. Like
Why?
the book is just it took care of UI principles, UI design principles, from layouts to hierarchy to typography to line heights, even as detailed as talking about line heights and using of gray colors and all of that. Talked about components, okay? And the book is extremely detailed about UI design. So if you want to up your UI design skills, you want to learn some UI design principles, you'd want to read Refactoring UI, like from cover to cover. Just,
How
and
many
it's a very,
pages?
that's the funny thing. I think it's about 100 or something pages. Let me check out that book. I think it's one of the shortest books we read in road trip, if I'm
Are you
correct.
serious? Send it for me, I beg. Funny
It's
enough,
not
I've not
very
read it. Yeah, shoot me gun, yes.
We read that book in the community, like, when was that? That was sometime last year. And I think it was the second time we were reading that book, if I am
Yeah.
correct.
Sadly, I've not.
Yes.
I was busy. I think I was chasing Igbo women by then. I don't know. I can't remember. Oh, forgive me.
Refactoring UI is like 252 pages. So I know without the table of contents and all those extras, it'll be about 200 pages that you'd be reading. So, but there are a lot of pictures in it, so you won't feel that you're reading so much, you're taking in so much information, or it's not a boring book, I can assure you.
Yeah.
There are lots of
Okay.
pictures and all of that. Yes. So, okay. So, good. Talks about hierarchy, like I said, labels. Talks about labels, talks about balancing weights and contrast. Spacing, I told you. The book is really detailed, like line heights and kerning and all that. It is extremely detailed about those things. So go and read Refactoring UI. Bros, you don't
Yeah.
read Refactoring UI.
I will read it. I'll read it. Now that you mentioned it, it's just that I'm reading Ikigai. After Ikigai, there's this other book I want to read, but I'll add Refactory AI to the list, so I'll get to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
Thank you.
reading personal development books.
Yeah, they are interesting. Don't worry. I'll share the list of the books I have in my coven, and the ones I've read are the one I'm still reading.
A lot of books, and then I changed phones, and then I lost all my books. Like,
Jesus Christ.
the thing is, okay, well, what saved me was the books we had on our drive and the RT library, a road trip library. So I got some books back from there, but a must read if you're looking to build your visual design skills, your UI skills. Go read Refactoring UI. Okay. Another
Okay.
one is Hooked. Hooked is
Books.
awesome book. Hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Hooked. Okay, it talks about building habit-forming products. So if you build products like, I think, EdTech, you're in EdTech, so there are some apps you'd want to create that you want users to keep using. Something like, I
Yeah.
think you guys are creating something for learning Igbo language. I saw
Yeah.
one of
Yeah. I'll talk about that shortly, and I'll put a demo on the screen. So for anyone listening to the pod now, if you are listening to the pod, if you just know you like listening to the pod, right? So I will talk about it, but let me just allow Nonye to finish, so I'll not, join because that sense.
Okay, so yes, so just like what you guys are building, okay, it's something you'd want. It's like Duolingo. You'd want to build a habit. You want your users to make it a habit to keep using that platform. So such products would require the hooked principles. Now, hooked talked about different pointers or different things that must happen for you to get your users to your product. Okay, mention things like action, that's the action the user is going to take. Talk about triggers. Okay, triggers are things that make the user now do the action. Okay, and those triggers with time will now make the person keep coming. Okay, the triggers are in two forms, the external and the internal. The internal trigger is what you should be targeting, though you definitely start with the external triggers. Okay, go read the book, see your eyes
Give me
where you're
examples.
like
Give me examples of, like, I'm listening to you. I'm like, give me examples of
internal
internal
triggers.
triggers.
The
Yeah.
internal triggers are like pain, fear of missing out, happiness. Okay, something like TikTok. Now let's use TikTok for example. Okay, TikTok has this amazing algorithm that brings the kind of videos that you like to you. Okay, to your timeline or to your timeline. Okay, so you know that when you come to, or you want to know when you come to, I'm going to use Twitter too as an example. You know that when you come to TikTok, you have those videos that you liked or you like, okay, and then your internal trigger of being happy or finding or catching fun when you're watching those videos are one of the things that will keep bringing you back to TikTok. Okay, you'd want to keep liking the videos, you'd want to keep going on their lives and all that and all the sorts and all the, you want to see the trending beats, you want to see the trending clip or the trending skits and all of that. So these are
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
will keep TikTokers back to their app. All right. Another thing is Twitter. The bans, the fun, the craziness that's on Twitter is these are things that would keep bringing you back to that space. Like we keep bringing, not like Twitter space and then spaces. I mean the Twitter
Yeah.
app.
Yeah.
The fact that you can come and express yourself however way you want to express it and have your voice being heard and all of that. But these are all internal cues, these are internal triggers. And Twitter has already built their platform in such a way that they appeal to your inner needs. They appeal to your need to be heard. They appeal to your need to catch fun. They appeal to your need to cook violence. Okay, so yeah, so these are very smart moves that Twitter has made and bring these things to you, and then you keep coming back. Instagram too is another platform that is doing amazing in that. So here and there are different triggers, there are different things that you can make your app have that will keep bringing your users back. Okay, you'd want to give them rewards per se. Okay, rewards comes in different forms. Okay, not necessarily, it means when they do this action, they get this feedback. Okay, that feedback per se is the reward for the action. They invested time or they invested their thoughts into making a tweet. They invested their creativity into doing a video. Okay, you take that tweet and then take it out to people who like the kind of things that are in that tweet, or people who like the kind of things that are in that video, and then the person gets likes in return, the person gets followers and reposts and what have you, and then boom, the
I want
person's
to
video.
I want to ask one question, Nonye. Sorry. Now, this is a thought. What do you think makes people to come back to the application? The fact that they can see the number of likes, or the fact that the picture is liked?
The fact that I'm going to merge it, not just the number of likes, the number of likes on that picture. Okay, so it's not just the many likes, but the fact that they are liking that particular picture that you posted. So the number of likes, there are people that they live for likes,
Mm.
like they just want to see 1K likes, they just want to see 1 million likes on their post, whether it makes sense or not, whether the picture is cute or the number of likes, it's why people say, I think there was a time when initially when Facebook was still quite maybe gaining grounds amongst many of us here in Nigeria. And then there's this thing of, there's always this preaching of going to stop basing your affections on maybe likes that you get on your picture. I think there was a time when if somebody doesn't like your picture, you could lose appetite. You get it could just ruin your mood for that day and all of that. So the number of likes.
The number of likes and the number of likes over the fact that the picture is being liked.
Exactly. Okay. So both of them are actually very
important. Okay, so that's in turn saying, would it be like this is like this is a conversation. So like, would it make sense to take away one and see what happens? Like, build an application like Twitter, take away the statistics, the metrics that show you how many impressions, like that show you the retweets. Maybe they only allow you to see comments, but take away retweets, take away the metrics, and just allows you to see comments alone, right? And then an application like the same Twitter, another version of Twitter that just has the metrics, like that only tells you that, okay, you have 23 retweets, you have all of this, but then it's, yes, take out the comments, take out the interaction. It just shows you the metrics. And then that's all.
Go for the one with the metrics. I bet you. Numbers, the thing is, till tomorrow, numbers don't lie. Okay. In any
that's how we use that quote.
Yeah, in any scenario you want to put it, numbers don't lie. Okay. The fact that it is being reposted this many number of times, it's being retweeted this number of times, or it's being liked this number of times. People will take that over comments. How many people read comments? How many people have stress? Just come and look at the statistics. Oh, 1 million impressions. Wow, it's actually going fast. It's going fast. It's going fast.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very sure, okay, that a lot of people will go for the application with metrics over the one with just comments.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Well, that was by the way. So go on or giving us extracts from the book Hooks. If by now you don't have one page written objects, if you are listening, maybe you're washing clothes, you're driving, you're cooking, whatever it is, you should carry paper and biro and also write. So that was by the way.
There's this very important point I learned from Hooked. Talked about the behavior model. I think when we were reviewing the book in the community, I asked that question. I was like, B equals to MAT is like mathematics. B equals to MAT, what does it mean?
To me, I don't know maths now. You're not telling me it's maths. Oh, nice one. Oh, no, yeah. Oh, go on.
I was going to laugh her heart out because it was like, yo, what is this? And then people had not read the book at all. I was like, wait, there's maths inside the book. Like, what is that? Where is this one coming from? But it's just a simple model, okay? It's a model for behavior. It's the user behavior model, okay? So M stands for motivation, A is action, T is trigger. Okay, so putting it in words now, what it means is for a behavior to be established, okay, there has to be motivation. The user needs to have sufficient motivation. Okay, first off, it has to be sufficient motivation, and then the user should have the capability to do that desired action, okay, and there should be a trigger. Okay, so if you want to bring this to, let's use Instagram again for an illustration. Okay, so I want people, I'm a designer in Instagram, in my dreams, and I want to keep users glued to their phones, and let it be that it's Instagram that is open on their phones. Now we're going to look at Instagram and see how Instagram makes people, not the word addicted per se, but it keeps people coming back to Instagram.
Engaged.
Now, yes, engaged, good. The motivation for coming to Instagram is either you want to come and post a picture, or you want to come and view people's pictures or view food. Someone like me, I come to Instagram to look at food, to look at beautiful food. So I come to look at beautiful food, and I come to look at beautiful rings and wedding gowns. I'm lady. Yes.
I said it's
It's
let's leave that
I
for
do,
another just
I do that. I come to look at the gillies and all this beautiful one bear here and there on Instagram. So for some other people, they come to look at other things, maybe gadgets and all that. Now, that's the motivation for me. Okay, I'm coming to Instagram. I want to see the latest trend in interior decor. I'm coming to Instagram. I want to see the latest. I know that when I come to Instagram, I'm going to see it. Okay, I'm definitely
yeah.
going to see. Now, I click on the first one. Algorithm keeps bringing
Similar
similar
thing.
contents. Okay, so I'm going through my timeline, and then in 2, 3 posts, similar content, 2, 3 posts, similar content, 2, 3 posts, similar content. Before I'm going to remember time, it could have been like 30 minutes past. I may have spent 30 minutes on that timeline. Okay, so there's a motivation. Okay, there's the capability to create the action. I have the phone. Okay, I have a phone, or I have my maybe laptop or iPad or whatever that is going to make me come onto Instagram. Okay, I won't just look at my wall and then viewing Instagram. Okay, and then the trigger. Okay, for me it's internal trigger. Okay, because there's the satisfaction I would get from looking at those videos, or I want to learn. If I'm a designer, maybe an interior decorator and all of that, I want to learn styles and patterns and recent trends and all of that. Okay, so these things together create or form the behavior. All right, they form the behavior. So many applications or many companies, organizations that are working on products that they want to create a habit of, they want their users to make a habit of coming to their platform. They do these things. Okay, they take note of this behavior model and all that, and then follow these things. And then there was this case study about the YouVersion app. The case study is actually in that book. You should go and read it. The case study fascinated me because I'm actually a user of that application. And then I was reading the case study and I was like,
Hi, before we get back into the pod, this podcast is sponsored by Narration. Now, Narration so aims informing young Nigerians about politics, startups, tech founders, stories of interesting Nigerian youths like you, and maybe you, maybe you, maybe. However, they have a podcast and they also give out news about stock exchange. Now, I'm very serious about this because Naira is fun to read. They distill articles that are about stock exchange, market value, interesting political news that's happening for young Nigerians, to young Nigerians, by young Nigerians. And it's fun, check out their podcast and their Instagram handles to find out more information. But like, trust me, honestly, it is fun. Yeah. With that being said, let's get back into the pod.
yo, I,
Now me with
yeah,
this. Now me with this.
it was very relatable because, okay, maybe because I was a user, but then one thing I learned from not just the application and the case study and the entire book, it helped me on my next product. The product I designed after that was an e-learning app to help undergraduates to study. Okay, and this is something you want to create a habit from or of. Okay, you want students to keep coming to this application to do their extra learning, to do their tutorials, to run past questions and what have you.
Yeah.
And you want to stand as the authority. You wouldn't want any maybe competitors to keep dragging that top level with you and all of that. So that's what I learned from the book helped me a lot in structuring the flows for that application. Please go read. What I did was to pick out books in UX and UI, so that, and also design thinking. Okay, don't make me think. Is there refactoring UI for UI, hooked UX and design thinking? Then blood money in tech.
So we're about to before we get there, first of all, Nonye, all my guests, I say thank you to them one way or the other. Aside my mouth, they say you should not say I love you alone through mouth. So yeah, so I give all my guests merch. So you're going to be getting a merch from me. Where are you? Okay, I know in Lagos. Are you in Lagos?
I'm in Lagos.
Now, okay, that's good. Most of my guests are in Lagos.
I'm
So
sorry.
you're going to be getting a merch, a really nice one, by the way. So yes, that's good. Thank you. Thank you very much. So for
Thank
anyone listening, yeah, for anyone listening, if for anyone listening, you have any sort of way you want to contribute to this community of amazing small group of people that listen to this podcast, you can also buy the merch. Let me know. Just send me a DM anywhere. You also buy the merch and get access to it. Or you can sponsor the merch because I'm going to print in a lot this month. A lot, plenty. So in Jesus' name, I don't go broke. But that's just it. I want to ask you one more question about hooks, right? Um, have you noticed any ethical concerns related to building products or services that are designed to be habit forming?
Yeah, I think Hooked also talked about that. Okay.
The ethical aspects.
The fact that you want, yes, ethical aspects of it, because a lot of people use different methods, not being biased per se, okay, not being biased, okay, on platforms, maybe like gambling platforms, and this is not being biased now, okay. There are some websites per se, okay, that's unethically kind of, maybe not, let's not use the word unethically now, but maybe using things like reward systems and especially reward systems. Okay, do this, you will get this. Okay, do 2 times of this, and you could, the word will change, could get this. You get so there are ethical concerns. Okay, the intent. I think he mentioned that the intent is very important. Okay, why are you doing this? Okay, I think that's the
Excuse me, ma. My hands are up. Can I? May I?
yes.
May I? Yes, ma. Yes, my lord. So, what do you think TikTok intends is, when they have access to your camera, your keystroke? Uh, what do you think is the intention of that? Like, I'm sure they are trying to learn how to make you get hooked on the application, but like, they have access to your camera.
There are extremes to it. Of course, they want you to stay hooked on the platform. Like, I'm sure they're going to deny the fact that they want you to be addicted to their platform. Okay,
Obviously.
addiction
Yeah.
is the choice per se. It's not like I made you addicted. I'm sure if you take them to court, they're going to tell you they didn't plan for you to get addicted. It wasn't their intent for you to get addicted. It's your choice, and it was okay. But these are, like you said, the internal triggers. Okay, you gotten satisfaction from the number of likes and reposts and all of that, and then you keep coming back. It's like what cocaine does to someone. Okay, the
Yeah.
inner action you had from it, the highness, the everything that came with it. Okay, it was your personal experience with that substance. Okay, and then it made you come back for it. So, of course, they created the application with all the amazing strings and catchy areas to get you hooked onto the, all they give their baits here and here. Okay, but it's still choice of the user. It still boils down to the user. Okay, Mr. A could be addicted, could be an addicted TikToker, but Mr. B is just here for his business. Mr. C just does this to gain traction for his platform,
Mhm.
So
Mm.
there's no one way to pin it on them. That's my point.
So it's like saying, in as much as okay, we're designers, and one way or the other, our hands are tied to these things. Like our hands are inside building these features that allow you to want to come back one way or the other, because we need for the business to grow, for us to be able to post and be like, oh, we've grown 800 monthly revenue in $800 monthly revenue in 1 month, blah, 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 blah. We need you to be coming back. But like,
Exactly.
we also need to like just be human sometimes to understand that I saw somewhere. So this designer, I think these designers were at they used to show picture Pinterest, and they were
Okay.
like, why is it that you have notifications to come back to the app, you have notifications to stay on the app, yeah, but you don't have notifications that reminds you you've spent 10 hours here, you should rest. You don't have
No, we don't
notifications
want
that
to spend 10 hours. Come on. Come on. We really don't want you to do that. Are we sending you away? We want you to spend the entire day on our platform if you can't.
imagine the whole
Oh,
day. That's also a very ethical thing to think about. And there's this app I use, Moonwriter. They do this. At least they have the setting to do this. You can set it to after 1 hour, remind me that I have been reading, and it's the reading app. Remind me that I've been reading for 1 hour. Yeah.
it has to be a reading app because it's for your eyes. I'm going to let
Uh,
you know that they do that
oh,
with eye health. Yes, they do that. So they tell you to look away from your screen for maybe 5 minutes
yeah.
or 10 minutes or thereabout. So like if you break consistently for 1 hour, it's going to pop up. Let's say you've been reading for an hour, look away from your screen. It's just basically for your eye health. It's not necessarily telling you to leave their platform.
But that's good. It's shall good. It's like a step ahead of saying, let Twitter just tell us, hey, you've been scrolling for the last 20 hours. Try go chop, try go wash clothes. Something.
Okay, now I want to bring this to normal real life experience now. Okay, you have a restaurant, okay, and then there's this particular customer who has been there the entire day and has been ordering food the entire day. Would you come up to him maybe 10 hours later and tell him, okay, you've been eating food consistently for carry your bag? Would you do that? No,
uh, uh,
let's do
well, um, let me pretend to be a good guy, and I'll walk up to him and say, Mr. Man, you don't dey chop since.
that.
Chop
You don't
to
chop
chop no dey
food.
tire
You
you.
don't chop food.
You don't chop too much. Yeah, your money no go finish.
Come they go, come they go.
Come dey go. Yeah,
It's not, it's not. That's the point of the entire business, okay? The more users, the more time they spend, the more times they come back, okay? That's what brings the revenue. So of course, there's no platform that wants to tell you to leave. The U version Bible app, God will not tell you to leave. This will tell you to leave. Okay? You're going to study your Bible the entire day. Be my guest. All
yeah.
right.
So that I like as we just wrap up that conversation, it reminds me about this song, Iya Basira. So it's a very old song. Iya Basira, you don't give the chop, or I don't know if you know that song, but all of us, we don't old, not Gen Z's.
I remember the song. Yeah, but
Yeah,
Sarah don't. I think what happened to the person in the song?
yeah, like everybody was eating the food, like they even called policeman to come, and policeman was still eating the food, and policeman was like, "No, no go vex if I order for more." So like that song is nice. It was like Yabasara did something to the food, or at least cooked it so well that the food kept them hooked.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so it kept them coming. So in essence, every designer should go and learn how to cook like Yabasara. Keep your designers.
Point is that it's not going to work for every application. That's the one thing you'd want to point out.
Yeah,
If
that's
your
true.
application is not going to be, it's not something that you want to appeal to habits. If your
Mm-hmm.
application is something that just come do this thing and leave, okay, or come make a transaction and leave, or something like maybe fintech, okay, but if it's something like a savings platform, okay, you want to create a habit from saving. So you see things like reward systems for saving. There's an
Mm-hmm.
interest. When you save, you get this kind of thing. There are prompts for you to invest, come back and do your savings. There's auto renewal. There's reoccurring deposits or something like that. That makes
Yeah,
you that's without your coming to the app to do the transaction.
yeah.
Yeah, forming features on that platform. But if I'm just coming to do a normal deposit and withdrawal transaction, come on, what's the habit I want you to create from that? So it doesn't work for all products. Okay, that's what we should take note of. It is specifically for products that should form habits in your users. But you could learn one or two things, especially about user retention and all of that. So I think there's one or two things to pick out from that book about that.
The blood money in tech. So yeah, Nonye, please go on.
Well, the blood money in tech, first of all, the book is not free. I don't think it's a free book. It's not like a
Yeah,
book
it's
you
paid.
can just download. I think you have to, yes, you have to buy the book. One thing the blood money in tech did for me was instead of set fire, like when you've been sitting somewhere and you've been like really cold and then someone just put something extremely hot under your bum and then you just have to make you get it. I think that was what that book did for me. It came in really handy at that point in my career. Uh, what the blood money in tech generally does is lets you know that hey, tech is not a scam. There is money in. But it goes steps further to let you know what you should do, the mindset you should have, and how you should go about it. Okay, so it talked about things like mentorship, community, networking, talked about, gave different careers in tech, talked about generalization, specialization, and all that. So one key thing I wanted to bring up, going back to the compass and the map story, the extracts you had from that book you were reading. Now, mentorship was one of the things he talked about in the book, and mentorship in any career at all is like a compass. Okay, it helps you get to wherever you want to get to quickly or faster and more efficiently. You don't end up being burnt out before you get to that destination. With a map, is you have everything. Okay, UX
Yeah.
design, UX research. You have it all there. There's YouTube has 1 million resources on this thing. Coursera is there, Udemy is there, Google is there, ChatGPT is also there, and all of that. There's a bunch of resources everywhere, but it's not entirely, it's better to have someone who is more experienced, who has gone ahead of you, help you filter through those resources. Okay, that's where the compass comes in, okay, in the field of in career generally, all right? So he talked about mentorship. Also talked about money, okay? But one thing I'm going to point out is, you see this tech is blood money, or is your blood, so, like, your blood, there's nobody that's going to be on the altar. You are the one that's going to be there. Okay, it's your blood. You're the one doing the sweating and everything. All right. But in spite of all the big money that we hear, it's going to be terrible to come into the career and think that that's how you just blew in 2 months after learning how to draw rectangle and learning how to draw circle or whatever. You don't even let auto layout finish, and then you expect to start earning $3,000 in a month.
Damn. I swear. Oh my God. There's this clip. I think I'll find the clip. And the guy was stuck. I will put it here. And the guy was like, you see that UI UX? That's the one. That's the one. After 2 weeks, you start cashing out in dollars. You start cashing out in
Yeah,
dollars.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear
Oh
you.
my
It's actually not like that. It's not like that. Okay. It's a predictable career. Okay. If you do these certain things, if you do it how people who are earning that way have done it, then you could get there. It's predictable, but it's not. It's definitely
it's
not a
not a
linear.
straight line. Yeah, so like give me those steps, like those actionable steps.
Generally is the book was talking to people who may not have any choice they've made in tech. Okay, you're just new, you've been hearing tech, you've been hearing there's money. Is there actually money in tech? So the first starts out with guy, money do tech. Okay, there's money. He
Interesting.
gave some statistics and all that of monthly salaries of some tech guys, like some careers in tech. I mean, All right. So just to blow your mind a little bit, not necessarily to blow your mind, but it's reality of a number of
Yeah.
people in tech. It's their reality. Okay, but it's just let you know that guy, money day. But first, wait first, let me tell you. Man, yeah, you the real gist, you get. So he talks about defining the space that you want to play in. Okay, so what aspect of tech do you want to go into? Data analysis, UI UX, front end, back end, full stack. What the heck do you want to do? Okay, so generally you want to start with going online to browse. What are the skills required in this particular field? What are the skills required in this particular field? Are those things that match your interest? Are those things that match what you can sit down to learn? There are some people who cannot sit down to learn JavaScript, no matter how you give them tutorials and all of that. People that will not learn how to do machine learning, no matter how you want to break their head, maths is not for them, and all those kind of things, all those things you get.
Yeah.
So also when you know the niche you want to settle in, maybe data analysis or front end design, front
Okay.
end development, and all of that. What are
Yeah.
the skills? Learn those skills. Okay. Now, after learning those skills, you should know how to apply the skills. I mean, it's not about just learning. Practice those skills. Now, you have the skills in hand, you need networking.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of us are introverts. That's where the wahala is. A lot of us are introverts, and we just don't know how to connect with people. And that's where community comes in. He also talks about community, but I feel that's where community comes in for as many of us who are introverts. We could leverage on communities and build circles there. Okay, so you don't have to be entirely known. All 500 people know you, all 300 people know you, all 200 people know you, but at least there's a pocket of people there that you connect with, and they know you, you know them, you network with them. You could begin to branch out from there, actually. That's how we met, isn't that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It talks about branding too, personal branding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just mumbling everything all together, like I said from the start, first go and find out the skills, the niches
Yeah.
that are in tech. Not just about tech.
Yeah.
Not everybody is a developer. Not everybody is a designer. Copywriters,
Yeah.
there are UX, there are technical writers, there are digital marketers. There are a
Yeah.
lot of things just because maybe some niches are a lot more noisy than the others. UX design, UI
Like
UX design,
us, you are
really very noisy,
everywhere. Make it.
very noisy. We're very noisy, come on. So it looks like that's the only aspect of tech that exists, but
Mhm.
it's not true. There are a lot of these other aspects that are really cashing out. Okay, if we want to use the word cashing out. Okay, so learn the skills in the one that you've chosen, apply the skills. Okay, apply, start learning, start learning. You can't get a job with zero portfolio. There's no
Yeah,
magic that
that's
you
true.
want to do it. Except maybe an internship or volunteering, and then maybe begin to build from there. All right. Then it talks about personal branding and then community, being in a community. So please go and read the book. Okay, go read Blood Money in Tech by Olabanji. Well, I think he's the founder of Innova Love, if I'm correct, if I can remember
Mm.
correctly. So go read that book. All right, go read the book. If you are confused about if tech is actually what you should be doing, or if you've not started at all, but you've been hearing tech, and you're like, do I or do I not? Go read that book, okay? And it's going to give you a solid foundation. And it's also let you know that money there. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so the book, what the book did was to help me realign my goals,
Yeah,
okay,
like
and
your
then
compass.
yes, and it made me take some actionable steps. Okay, I have been learning this sort of way. I should do this differently. Okay, I've been doing things this. Then before then, I was laying on my own. Okay, I'm this kind of person that I'm not limited. I do not like to be. If the quickest way, even if I don't have, I can't afford this particular thing. Okay, what's the free version? Can I start with a paid version? I can't afford this thing. Okay, is there a cheaper one? So
Yeah,
I'm that kind of person. I won't wait till I have maybe the whole amount or whatever. If I could
yeah,
start from somewhere, I start
yeah,
from there. When I get it, okay, I can now go for this paid version or something. So it made me move from being the sole learner. We used to pride ourselves as being self-taught,
yeah.
self-taught design. I had to make a shift personally. Okay, I moved from staying in the self-taught zone, and knew I needed mentorship at that point in my life. And I moved to mentorship zone. I had to find a mentor at that point. So to really learn and know
Who's your
what's
mentor?
really happening. Fiwa,
Oh,
Fiwa.
nice. Uh, that's good.
Fiwa is my mama. Okay, so I learned under Fiwa and it was
Pixels.
amazing. Pexels, yes, Pexels. So I took a Pexels, I partook in their program, and aside design lessons, there were life lessons that we learned. We learned the business of design. And Fiwa is very amazing. Like you're going to learn everything,
Just me.
This
Tell
is
me
not
those lessons.
okay,
Let
this is
me get them.
this is just this is an alumnus that is just I'm just bragging with my design school. Okay. Not that hard per se, okay. So aside learning the normal design principles, do it this way and do it that way, she lets you know what's really happening in the job space. Okay, what's really happening when you get a job. This is what really happens here. It's not what you are
What
thinking.
really happens, Nonye? What really happens? What
You
happens?
know, it's every time that you follow design process, shit, you just not think you know that okay, but like real life situations, okay, there are times where the entire design process is followed. UX research, you do ideas, you go
Yeah.
through the entire process. There are times where an MVP needs to be released as quickly as possible. You run through the competitive analysis, you do a quick survey, or if survey is not going to work, you do interviews, but you don't necessarily follow the entire process. You release the MVP, do testing, get results, and then go back, and the cycle continues like that. With different organizations, there are different patterns, there are different values. Let me put that out.
Mhm.
So there are different values, there are different cultures also. So we learned a lot of those things under FIWA.
Let me
And
give sorry
yeah,
to cut you. Let me give like an example. So now in the spirit of building MVPs, I think that's one thing that I'm getting better at. I'll use that statement. I'm getting better at every single day. So working with Ijema has been lovely because she has allowed me, just like you have fewer like she has allowed me, like she's a dev, but she has allowed me see the specific how specific you should go when building a project. So we're
yeah,
building Umuta. Now Umuta is the application that allows you to practice Igbo pronunciation of words, or like manually comparing them with original speakers. Now what this does is she told us that, okay, simple, David, just like we built other MVPs, the skeleton, the very basic thing that you need. So before we did that, we have been talking, and the funny thing is, we have been building Ukooku, which I believe in my regard is the best and the most structured database for any Nigerian language, right? Ukooku has Igbo structured database for words and every Nigerian language that you can find. Now, we've been building that for over 3 years, right? Over 2 years, 3 years now. And using that same principle was like build the skeleton, the very first thing that you would need to build, which is collect sentence, record sentence, compare it. Otiton, anything past that is extra. And that was it. So there was no point of like saying, I'm going to interview 20 people, or I'm going to do a user persona, then I'm going to do like, mapping and all of that. The MVP is 5 pages or even less than 5 pages, right? I think it's 3 pages. It's just that it's repeated, so developer but it's 3 pages gone. The home page that has categories, the page that records, that plays your
yeah,
audio, the page that you record your audio, and the page you compare your audio. That's all. And that was the only thing. Now there are other hookups in the application. So like we did not follow the whole design process of like, oh, I'm going to interview 20 people, then send out a survey, then calculate all of that. We'll just straight to, we've
yeah,
talked to people in the past. We know the pipeline of the problem, the pipeline of learning to speak Igbo is simple. It's like I learn Igbo, then I start learning it. You take a course, and then when I get to this point, I don't know it again because first of all, this the thing in between is I don't know who to practice with. That's the boldest thing. So that's where
Yes.
Umuta comes in. We've talking to people over the last 2 years, so we know that this is where it comes in. So we just went them like you can practice with yourself, right, using this
Yeah.
application. And that was it. I mean, now you can build a whole system around that. But like it's simple. You build this MVP that does this, and we didn't follow that whole like process, the whole thing. But what we're doing now is okay, since we have our MVP, is we're pushing it out to people and I say, okay, we need people to sign up for demo version. The alpha version is out, so we need people who to sign up right now. Be like, hey, I want to use this. Like, let me get it. So we'll now share it with them and like get feedback. And then now that's our own. Exactly.
Good.
That's our feedback. That's our like focus. So if you are listening to this podcast and this interests you, the link to sign up is in the description. There's a sign up for request for a demo. You were just talking to basically I and the dev who like came up with the whole application thing. It would be nice. So that's just like by the way in terms of what you mentioned. But you don't always follow the process thick and thin. But like the idea and the goal is like always measured, like always like in points to yeah.
So this is not something that you'd maybe if you're just starting out, maybe you're learning, you may not necessarily have that idea. You may think everything that happens initially, I think you must do UX research like this. I must do I must do it this way. I will do survey, do interview, do my persona, like that, like that, like that. Who has your time? You get, so while there are certain products that would require that process, there are certain features that will require that process. There are others that would not. There are others that would just require the quickest possible way and then just push it out for testing immediately. We need it out for testing. The major focus would then be on testing, feedback, iteration, testing,
Yeah.
feedback, iteration. So
Sprint. Have you read it? It's the book Sprint.
yes, Sprint. I also watched the video. I think AJ and Smart. AJ and Smart
Yes.
like that.
I love those guys. See cheese. I love those guys' videos. Yeah. So that's another book to read. Sprint.
So what AJ and Smart did was to compress from was it 7 to 5 days? I think they compressed in days. That was what they did in their video.
It's 1 week. In 1 week,
Yes.
sometimes they shortened it to like 3 days, 4 days.
Yes, that's what they did in their video. So you should go and read Sprints too. Another book to read should be Agile, learning about Agile principles
Agile
and
method. Okay.
Agile methodologies and all of that. This is one thing you may want to read to just have at the back of your mind or have it handy because there are some teams that require that. So even if you've not practiced it in real time, you have the theory knowledge. So it's not like they're speaking jargons or what they're doing. At least by the time you see it in real life practice, you can be able to learn. Which reading is people have their ways, people have their preferences. Okay. I could be cool with reading books, others are more visual. There are people who prefer to just listen. Okay, so one thing we began to do in the community was when we're searching for books, we search for different versions of the book. So you're looking for the audio book, looking for EPUB, you're looking for PDF.
They also search for the free version of the books.
You can't actually, the thing with books is it's very tricky, especially when it comes to a library, as a public library. You would not want to put books that are for sale in the library because
they no can hold you.
It's very, very careful. So go to Google and just type how to get free ebooks, and then there are a lot of things that would most likely come out. So help yourself.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So we're coming to the end, by the way. And this was fun. This was honestly fun. So Nonye, now tell me, in terms of reading, right? Why do you think you've not read since the beginning of this year? How can you fix that? And what habits do you think helps you read better? There's like 3 questions in one.
Sure. Okay. What has made me not read a lot? What has been the issue? Okay, I'm this kind of person that likes balance, or like I like to be in a place and I know I'm in this place at this time.
In
There's been a lot
control.
there's not necessarily in control per se, but at rest. Okay, let's for using physics now, a body at rest. I've been in
Mm,
motion. I have been consistently. Okay, there's been a lot of movement here and there for me. There's been a lot of things happening. So those are things that made me not as an excuse. Okay, I'm not going to be using them as an excuse because I am inexcusable. Okay, how I would help myself aside accountability, reading with the community as I read with Rochi. I
mm,
think that really also helped me read books back to back. Okay, but aside accountability, it would be giving myself a target. Okay, I'll say each day before I open my laptop to work, I'll read 2 pages or I'll read 10 pages. Okay, and I'm going to give myself to it. Of course, we make rules and then we break them, but we're going to try to
mm-hmm,
keep ourselves. It's discipline. Okay, it's discipline. The same way you say, I'm going to turn up and I'm going to design every day. I'm going to do this specific thing every day. Just the same way you build those habits that help your career, it's the same way you're going to be building reading. It's the same way I am going to be building my reading habits. Okay, I'm going to be getting back to the community and reading again. And I'm going to tell myself, okay, before I start work by 8 in the morning, I'm going to read this, or I'm going to spend 10 minutes on this. Another thing I'm going to do is to probably start listening to podcasts. I don't really listen to podcasts, but I search a lot for audiobooks because of my community members and these people like audiobooks. So I find myself in Spotify looking for audiobooks and all that. Well, I want to start listening to
mm,
podcasts so that while I'm working, I can have this playing, so I'm listening in
mm,
and I'm learning from what's being taught. I think NNNG has NNG, that's a Nelson Norman group. They have this amazing podcast on Spotify where they deal with
mm.
UX issues and all of that. So
That sums it. That sums it. Makes sense. So now, remember I said in the beginning of the pod that there's one more thing I want to say. It's like an extract from the book Ikigai. And I think this is something that I may end up starting where I talk about one book or two books like we have done once every quarter. And maybe, we could do this, Nonye, in this way we would even read better, just you join me on the pod and like once every quarter, that's once every 3 months, just talk about books like this. Yeah, because I've taken joy in reading a lot, mostly self-development books, mind books, psychology, these kind of things.
yeah.
Uh, now, so the extract is, I don't know the guy, I can't pronounce the name, but the name is, you can see it on the screens. If you're watching YouTube, it's Sitcoms. Sorry, I'll just skip it. But like he said, to focus on tasks, according to this guy, in order to focus on tasks. Now, these are just 2 steps. Number one is to be in a distraction-free environment. And number two is to have control over what you are doing at every moment, right? That is to help us stay and maintain the state of flow. This is also very important for people who are struggling to find a way to read. Like you must be in in an environment that is distraction free. You know, avoid being in crowded environments. If you need to read, like go to a class. Sometimes the environment instigates the fact of reading. It's like you can't stay in a place where boys talk about football all the time and say you won't read. Once you just carry a book like that, they'll not be like, I remember when Van Persie be they post this book for his status. They'll not be like, Van Persie, don't mind that guy. That guy, if he score 5 goals. Before you know, but
Or you find yourself in a club and with all the music around you, now break out in
ex-
the book. Wow.
exactly,
Not
exactly.
sure that you're a boy or you what.
Hey, that be like, she bad guy. Now you they read past, read this encyclopedia.
So it doesn't work like that at all. Like
Yeah,
you said, you have environments that would encourage you to read. Go
yeah.
to a library, find a quiet place.
Mhm.
If you're using your phone, you could turn on focus mode if your phone has that.
Yeah.
turn on focus mode and then have some apps locked and then just give yourself 30
Yeah.
minutes, give yourself an hour, and then
Yeah. This is like one thing that I do that like I started with that helps me like be able to like read certain books. And I'll talk about them. Is the books I read rather. Like it's like reading once a day. So I used to read 10 pages. I started with 10 pages a day. So I read 10 pages in the morning, every morning. Then after like 2 weeks, I stepped up. I started reading 10 pages in the morning, 10 pages in the night. So in a day I covered 20 pages. But that's why I just read 10 pages. Once I'm done, I don't once I'm done the 10 pages, I don't open Call of Duty. I don't play game in Deja Vu, Ali Clements, King David. This is all of us on the play game. We just are saying we don't enter Call of Duty, but I know I must have read 10 pages before I move on to the next thing. Then like that's 20
yeah,
pages a day, 10 in the morning, 10 in the night. And I feel like if somebody wants to build a habit of reading, like at least I read this somewhere, is to read the books. No, I heard this from Ali Dabao. He's a YouTuber. He said you should read the books that you're interested in. That's how you build the habits of reading. Then you can
yeah,
cultivate those habits to discipline yourself to read the books that you need to read, like UX books that that sometimes feel instructional and all of that. It's like, but you should first build the habit of reading books first. You know, yeah, yeah. So like reading the books you're interested in, and those are like things that that I did do. Do you think UX books are instructional?
some of
Sometimes
them are,
are they boring?
some of them are, let me not use the word boring per se, but it can be a lot. Like, I don't know, I need to find one person who has finished reading Design of Everyday Things. I really need to read that person. The book is awesome. If you're a beginner in UI UX, you should go read that book. Okay. The amazing thing about the book is that at least the first few chapters that you're going to read is going to shape your mindset. Okay, especially foundational to shape your mindset. But I have not met one person who has read the book to the end.
Wow.
I really have not. I really, some books are actually instructional. Okay. People love visuals. It's not everybody likes to see pictures. They help reading. They help
Yeah.
in they help give a break. So you've been
Mm-hmm.
reading, and then there's this picture. Okay, so you
Yeah.
pause and the picture to relate with what you've been reading. It's like it's a form of engagement with the book. Okay, I usually find all textbooks that are in hundreds of pages. I find them extremely hard to read. I could read to an extent and then I'm done. I've learned what I want. Anything that is at the end, just just stay there. Okay, so some books are instructional. Some books are quite boring,
That means you
but
switch
the
it up, watch YouTube videos or audio book of those boring books
yeah. So
if you must
like you said,
learn.
you must learn something like that. One thing you could also do is give yourself a break. Okay. If you've
Mhm.
read a few pages or if you've read a few chapters, you could come back to it, say the next day, or come back to it in 2 days' time, so you don't feel, when will this book finish? Like, let me do another.
You be like, waiting there. This guy never writes finish. Just they talk.
There was one that was talking about history. I can't remember the title of that book. Guy, I was the one to tell your book of a guy. I don't read that book. Reach, I mean, no, I just couldn't. I just couldn't because
Yeah.
it wasn't relational. I wasn't relating with the book. Some books use the storytelling approach, and it's really awesome because it's flowing. You're picturing things in your mind as you're reading. Okay,
Yeah.
so books that use storytelling approach are really awesome. Books that use visuals are really awesome. Books that are short are really awesome. 152 is amazing. 300, 500 pages. You know,
What are you writing? Uh, oh my God.
is it we are giving us the vibe of physics or biology textbook or chemistry, and we really don't want to have such feelings. Really,
Like, but there are books like that can be fun, but just that they sometimes can just be overwhelming. Like when you see the number of pages to cover, they are overwhelming. So there's this book, Stop Acting Rich. Now, Stop Acting Rich was supposed to be my last month's book before I started reading Ikigai or more.
Yeah.
Like I started it and I'm like, well, I did cover a bit and I was like, guy, like, will I ever finish this book? Like, it's like 300 something pages, but it was just plenty in my eye. It was just overwhelming. But I
I
love that
think
book.
it was the feeling we had when we read about face. Like the entire community. Vicky was tired. Vicky was like Vicky was like, we read that book. We used to read a month, but I think we read that book for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So aside all this UX book, can you mention like two other books who are like very impactful to you?
I read a lot of Christian books.
Go on,
So,
spill. I'm a child of God. So yeah.
okay. But A Woman After God's Own Heart.
Hmm.
That book was, who wrote that book? Can I remember the writer of that book? I can't remember the author. I usually don't flow with all these John Maxwell books. I don't know why.
I don't know who that is, but let's go on.
Maxwell, those are books on leadership, this.
Oh, that is okay. I think that's around my shrinks, around my
So
shrinks.
I usually don't flow with them. I really don't know why, but I don't flow with those books at all. I think I'm trying to remember this title, but I think it's by Miles Monroe, if I can remember correctly. I can't remember the title. I really can't remember the title. I read a lot of books and I have snippets, okay, things I learned from those books, and then many times I don't even know which particular books. I can be talking of something and I'm merging what I learned from three different books, and I don't know why I'm having these three different books.
Exactly. That's the
And
beauty
I
of
think
being
I'm talking
a
about
reader.
and I think I'm talking about one book. It's actually not so good because you can say you're talking about this book and then you're picking
But
out except different other books.
yeah,
The one all of us, I'm sure a lot of us read as young age, Gifted Hands. Who did not read Gifted Hands? I think maybe
I
everybody read it.
started, I didn't finish. Liz forced me to start. Shout out to Liz. Liz has helped me start so many things in this life. So Liz forced me to start that book. I think I was one of the books I also started reading with, and I didn't finish the book, but it was good to start.
I read Gifted Hands at a very young age, and
Wow.
it's one book that really had a very full impact on me. So if I'm to give two books, Gifted Hands and A Woman After God's Own Heart. Every other book has been amazing, okay? But in different niches, maybe
Yeah.
relationship
Different kind of
coaching,
vibe, that kind of
personal
thing.
development, yes, and here and there different niches. So usually I would just want to just boil down to UX and maybe
Yeah.
personal development. But
Yeah, this has to be the longest podcast I have had in a while, I say. Like we're going over 1 hour plus because of this topic of books. And I enjoy it. I love talking about books. Now, these are
yeah.
my own four aspects of books that I've read that I feel they are top notch. Number one, if you listen to me all the time on YouTube or on podcasts, by the way, I also make YouTube tutorials. I think people don't know that. So is like I talk about Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday all the time. I love that book. Honestly, that book has changed like my whole perspective of thinking about things. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Then the second best book on my list is Millionaire Next Door. I don't know how else to put it, but Millionaire Next Door is bam. You know when you see that hot babe like Nonye now on the road, maybe she wants to go and buy a car. I know you are buying you're buying Mishai or something, and you just stun to collect change, and you just say, like,
Hmm.
damn, ah, God, kind of thing.
You just
So
need
that's how I
bright.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just that kind of vibe. Like Millionaire Next Door is good. Other like horrible mention is like Stop Guessing, the problem solving book. I really like that book. Stop Guessing. I can talk about if we want to start talking about that one, that's a whole different it was a separate gist. But that's just by the way. I can leave a list to all the books you mentioned here in the description of the YouTube. I can't leave it on Spotify because Spotify won't let me give that much link. But if you are interested, you can just go to the YouTube channel, check the description, and see all the links there. There's no way to download it on Amazon because I know most of my users are Nigerians and will probably download it. But if you want to, There'll be an Amazon link, I pray. But that's just by the way. That's just by the way. Yeah, no, do you have any other thing before like close the service?
What would I want to say? Learning doesn't have limits. Okay, if reading books is not your thing, go for visuals. Okay, go for
Mhm.
videos. At every point, be sure that you're learning something. Okay, if reading is not your thing, go for podcasts. Okay, like this. There are a lot of resources out there in different forms. Okay, the world is really inclusive. Okay, go for what suits you, but be sure that you're reading. Or sorry, be sure you're learning. I mean, be
Mhm.
sure that you're learning at every point. There's something you're building on. If it's not in career, it's self-development or networking, connections,
Yeah.
here and there. Just keep learning. Okay?
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome. That's cool. So if you can't read a book, watch a YouTube video about it. You should, if you can't, listen to the audio book, read an article, something, collect the
Yeah.
information one way or the other. You know, if you can't get a girl's number, you can get her friend's number, or you can get her mother's number, one way or the other.
Oh. Oh, you
Uh,
get my number. Let's go down. You don't want to say my mother.
exactly. You can get that one too. Yeah. So that was by the way. So thank you very much for sitting with me, Nonye. This was very interesting.
So, okay, so if you've loved this video, give it a like. Where's the like going to be? Down there. Give it a like and click the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get a notification when a new video
That's
comes
it.
up.
Good. A round of applause.
Just